Hey guys, Mustached Jr. here, aka Mustached. I'm here to review the movie Thanksgiving. If you end up enjoying this full movie review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. Want to head you over to my petition to help out smaller YouTubers. Second and third to my Patreon and PayPal, where you can help support me and my channel directly. And fourth, my Discord server you can join, collab, and chill and do all that cool stuff. And shelling will be reminded at the end of the review. With all that out of the way, let's get into Thanksgiving. So I have not seen any trailers for this, but I figured I came across it, why not review it, right? So this movie obviously starts off on, well, Thanksgiving. And we see that a cop is heading over to Thanksgiving dinner with some of his either friends or just family, whichever it is. All the while, we cut to this store, which is a play on Walmart, obviously, on Black Friday. And as someone who has worked inside a Walmart on Black Friday, I consider myself extraordinarily lucky that it wasn't as bad as prior years. I consider myself supremely glad that that was the case. I mean, doing my job on Black Friday was still overwhelming, and there was still a lot of people in the store, but it just wasn't hectic, I would argue, in the way that this turns crazy hectic, all the way up until the people start rioting into the store, get into the store, and, a lot of damage is accrued among the sleigh. But we do see a crew, a young crew of individuals. Among them is Jess, our main protagonist female, as it were. And these lot get to sneak in, rather, before anyone else, because they had an in-person, whether that would have been a family person or whatever. They get a early in, surpassing everyone into the store. However, the mob, at least one of them, notices and they begin to rush in. They break inside. The frenzy leads to certain deaths occurring. And we see the officer shoot into the air, and it cuts away into 1 year passing. And it gives like a news report about how no one managed to get arrested during that nonsense. But we see that the cop has acquired a new partner in the process. But our young crew, is what I'll call them for simplicity's sake, seems a little bit more trying to regain whatever fell apart during that fiasco of an event. We see that the father's store was vandalized and robbed from, so things aren't looking all that up either. And among them, among their lobby of friends, one of them, named Bobby, is away, and has been for a while, and is only returning as these events begin to occur. But her, Jess's new boyfriend, gets some tickets for them to get into this sports thingamabob. We then cut to a worker who we see is a part of the footage from the a year ago attack, and in the process she is attacked. And so it seems to be that this killer is invested in killing those who bombarded the store, and that does definitely limit the suspects pretty quickly among those who have directly lost someone in that sequence. So I don't think it's too much of a surprise twist that it's the officer who lost his wife in that process. So just gonna throw that out already. Spoiler alert, I guess. I mean, it was gonna be pretty obvious anyway, but anyway. So we cut to her getting attacked, and she manages to dive a little away, outside even. Her kill is probably one of the more unbelievable amongst them, as she's like hurtling herself into a dumpster, and then he like drives his car super fast to like where her feet are at that point, and somehow that proceeds to cut her in half somehow. Yeah, I don't know. It's really dumb. Uh, it was within that moment I thought that this was a comedy horror because of the way it was put together. Like, it's that noticeable of a take. Like, that did not seem feasible. Like, I thought this whole movie was like a joke at that point, moving forward unironically. Or like, as I was suggesting, a horror comedy, rather. Anyway, as we proceed, the group finds out that one of these, some guy named McCarty or whatever his name is, something along those lines, is selling some potential guns, in which they don't partake in quite yet. That being our young group. And he says that they should go to this party, and since there would be a party and there would be a lot of people there, the likelihood of someone being killed would be pretty much minute. Which actually ends up being technically true, oddly enough. I don't think anyone dies at that party. At least I don't remember it happening, and I don't see it in my notes yet. Anyway, Jess heads out. Wants to grab the full footage of the event of that happened 1 year ago, so she proceeds to do that. Her current boyfriend, Ron, and her current other boyfriend, I'll put that one in quotes, Bobby, also get in. And Ron, among the two of them, is seen smoozing up with the security guard, and they think that there is something along those lines, if he was in on it or something or other. But as they're quarreling about what and how he's defending himself, seems to be suggesting that they left instead of went into the store, but nonetheless. We then follow another person, a security guard, for a bit, as oh wait, of the security guard, as he looks for his passport because he's still freaking out from that night. So it took him a year to like garner the ability to find his passport, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so he's looking for his passport now. Again, I don't know what he was doing the rest of the year, so again, whoops on that. The killer, surprise, surprise, ends up there, sliding up his throat. He had a cat. He ends up feeding the cat because the cat had nothing to do with it. So, he begins to set up a Thanksgiving dinner with his two kills as sort of a buffet of his victims. Meanwhile, Jess sees how his boyfriend was buddy-buddy, and that ends up, again, coming back into play a little bit here again. They kind of re-shag this, or reuse it anyway. But meanwhile, Bobby, among the two of them, ends up getting raped, or getting a little vengeanced upon by not paying his nerdy person that he goes to for notes because he's not good at the school trope. So this nerd taught him a lesson by giving him some stuff that like the teacher like wrote, like for plagiarism stuff, so that he would get in trouble. And now, Jess now lacks that trust within her boyfriend and even him, Bobby, as well. Ryan suggests that they go on the parade. He's among the squad. And we cut to the rival student and the cheerleader now persuading to go to a trampoline area to, like, jump into sex. But they end up getting killed. Him getting his neck snapped, and her, when she trampolines down, is met with a bunch of spiky spikes, and thus is also killed. So, Jess and Abby, among the allies, or the young squad, now go home, or get told to go home anyway. During this, Bobby is, like, in the hall, like the school hallway after school, and gets knocked out. And Gabby presumably with him as well. As she is, Jess is, like, investigating where they went, she eventually calls the phone, which she spots, and then sees the killer's reflection in her phone. So she prevents being killed in that instant due to a phone spotting him, and begins to flee the scene, or try to at least, hiding in one of the rooms. So she escapes. The officers don't, like, reinvestigate the area, I guess? I don't know, because whatever. But Bobby and the boyfriend clash at this juncture. Meanwhile, Jess goes with one of the other young squad named Scuba to this party. And they go to that McCarty guy they were talking to earlier, but this time they actually invest in getting a gun, because now they're actually getting sick and tired of waiting and doing nothing, and the police officers seemingly not catching up to this guy. And unfortunately, while that's going down, one of the chicks who's told to move, that they were going to move to Florida, I don't even remember her name, honestly. I didn't write her name down, nor did I hear her name in the entire movie. At least I don't recall it being uttered. Is proceeded to have her father's friend or talkative person who just happened to be there get gunned down by a silencer, preceded by him, and then her with getting the earplug treatment, and then getting killed on screen for both Jess and Scuba to witness live. So they rush toward the house. I mean, they could have also had another phone on them. There's two of them. Preferably each of them would want to have a phone, and have one of the other two call the cops while it's going on and say, hey, I know where their killer is. They're at this address that I clearly know, because they end up going there. But no, our characters aren't, unfortunately, that smart. So they end up getting knocked out after, nope, that didn't happen yet. So, they fail to essentially, to capture him, as he holds that girl hostage and ends up getting her killed by tossing her into a blade thing that's, like, spinning currently. So, Jess and Scuba proceed to go with the cops and the family to now go into baiting the killer into the parade. Since they figure he's probably going to attack there anyway, figured as might as well look on and see if they can snuff him out there. And what they don't assume is what ends up happening is that while this after this protest, this very short one, finishes off, this clown, obviously not what this killer looks like here, kills somebody straight out in public. Now, how he got away with that one is out of a mysterious. I mean, we also see, like, he has smoke grenades and all of this stuff, so he seems to be prepared in that sense, but still. Like, you had that much security and still things fell apart. And this is where Jess and Scuba are taken down with tranq darts. We see that her mother is captured as well, and is treated to a food kill, essentially, is what I'll call this, I guess. Like being prepped as food, kind of. But she tries to escape. She even bumps into somebody else who's still alive. She manages to just get to the exit, though, but then gets his war pick essentially shoved or tossed at her backside, and then shoved back inside to get the final cataclysmic death inside the oven. So the cops see the live feed finally, or at least they think they do. They end up sending the SWAT there, and they are being served a monitor instead. So the killer is now demanding that the people he's holding hostage, which they are thankful for. The first person, Bobby, does not answer in a satisfactory way to this killer, so he's the first to be killed. Meanwhile, Jess and Scuba, Jess first, is trying to escape with with one of the weapons that McCarty gave her. So, Scuba indeed cuts off first, and then they escape with Jess, and Scuba tries to then prevent him while she goes off running. And she bumps into the sheriff later on. Or a dead sheriff, rather. And proceeds to take his gun. Bobby takes his mask off, because he was one of the ones wearing one. And so they automatically just assume that he was one of the person behind it all. But that's not the actual twist, you see. As we see the sheriff now return and get to he's like with her in his office or whatever. And he's all like banged up at this point, and she notices his scuffed up shoes, and then she asks why he had done what he had done, and he proceeds to talk about how his wife had been killed, and indeed including his baby as well, or future baby, depending on how long they were, I guess. I'm not really sure, but point being is they potentially lost either one life or two, depending on how long. Yeah, I'm going there. That's right, I said it. Depending on how long they were. So she asks why, and that's his answer. And she ends up lifting up her phone, showing that she had recorded everything that he had just revealed. That infuriates him as he persists to attack, but he gets attacked by an incoming return of Bobby. And thus they proceed to escape as she bumps up this balloon thing of a turkey, and then once they make enough distance, she loads up a gun that McCready left behind, aims it at this balloon that's been filled with explosive whatever, and then shoots at it, and then he's caught in said explosion. And thus, she drops the one liner of no leftovers, or whatever the line is that they say in this, and then, yeah, they essentially just live out as she kind of has nightmares about the situation continuing or not being truly over. And that was Thanksgiving. So, like I said, I think that this plays a little bit closer to a comedic horror. A lot of the stuff that happens in the sequence at the, like, the mall sequence, for example, plays off of, sadly, reality, to an extent. This is when, there is a bit of a hint of sadness as well as, like, a, a, a dark comedy that comes with that knowledge of how, there's a realization of just how stupid people get during when they learn that there is a small deal on a certain day in a store, like, and that somehow creates a frenzy, like, there's, like, living footage, proofed footage of this occurring to living existence, and the fact that that even occurred at a point in time in our history is something we ought to be ashamed of, because of, and that really just kind of shows, unironically, how disgusting capitalism has kind of made us. Like, it's an unironic criticism against capitalism. I'm not sure how many people realize that, but it is. It really is. It's because, like, it's about saving money, so, like, that, and it caused, like, people in real life to really act like crazy lunatics, And like I said, when I was working at Walmart, I considered myself really lucky that it wasn't that bad. I mean, like, there was still a rush, and it was still busy. Those two things were still true, but there was no frenzy that I was at least made aware of when I was working there and, like, pushing carts there. So, like, I totally had, like, the moment I had learned that I was working on Black Friday, those memories of when that used to occur, like the bad events, that's what was playing in my head of, like, oh man, is this gonna really happen today? Is, like, are people really gonna go nuts? Like, that was seriously playing in my head on that day. So, it really lends itself and again, in a dark comedy route, just primarily in the way it, like, plays with body parts and who's, like, losing their lives and in which specific ways. And even more so, and it continues to almost do so throughout the entire movie, I feel as if, at least some of the kills, I feel like some of them are taken a little bit more seriously, like the more straightforward, like, he just has a gun at that point. Like, those kills are just like, yeah, he's just outright killing people, but, like, I feel like some of them are just a little bit on the bizarre spectrum of finding a way to kill a person in a unique or bizarre way, that, again, I feel like it's almost like hinting at a dark comedy way lens, and I don't know how intentional that was meant to be. And in terms of our characters, obviously it doesn't make our characters look good, and you know how I feel about the events that make you, like, root for the killer. Is, like, I typically tend to not be in favor of that typically, but if this was a comedy horror, I think they could have played into that and had it be stronger writing, but it never was promoted as such, and nor did it present itself in an obvious, like, that it was clearly going for that either. So I'm not sure, like, where I would rank that, except probably around a 4 out of 10. Like, I feel like it's still missing a little bit here to be a satisfactory horror movie in that regard. And that's my review of Thanksgiving, and if you ended up enjoying it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. Want to head over to my petition to help smaller YouTubers, so get it there to my Patreon and PayPal, where you can help support me and my channel directly, and forth to my Discord server, you can join, collab, and chill, and do all that cool stuff. And until next time, everybody, bye-bye!